Krampus is a Central European folk creature whose name is derived from the German word for claw, Krampus. He is often a companion of St. Nicholas. Krampus's day of celebration is December 5th, while St. Nick's is on the 6th. This is due to Christian influence, though several of Krampus's symbols belong to pagan times. Krampus helps St. Nick find and punish bad children. Krampus is described as cloven-hoofed, having goat-human hybrid features, and he carries a chain or ruten, which is a bundle of birch branches. The branch's significance has been lost through time. Modern-day celebrations in Austria, Germany, Hungary, Slovenia, and the Czech Republic involve eating, drinking, and wearing masks. I implore you to look up more about the myth of Krampus. If you are a young child, I advise you not to listen to the story I have to tell. It may be too scary. Then again, when have children ever listened? Let us listen. Darkness engulfed the snow-laden town, homes embracing their owners protectively against the chill. The world was still on this night, waiting. All knew what the stillness meant. Many humans had bolted their doors in an attempt to defend themselves. Others kept their doors unlocked, praying to their gods and holding their children as tightly as they could. Nothing would happen to them. They had been good, right? A darkness moved in the night, darker than anything the night could produce, rattling as it moved to the village. The darkness came to the first house of the village and tilted its heavy head, listening. Blinking its goat-like eyes, the beast moved on, knowing all was well as such a dwelling. The metallic, hot smell followed the darkness as it moved further into the village. It knew prey was here. The beast's mouth watered, and the metal was hot and eager in their hands. Where, oh where could they be? The stooped shadow stopped in the town center. It huffed, a rough, horse-like huff that released the wind from its stillness. Air moved through the dark town and began rattling doors. The figure turned towards the rattle and walked towards the strongest of rattles. The universe knew. The wind knew and was on the shadow's side. Some children needed to be punished. The crunch of the snow beneath the beast's hooves grew fainter as the beast moved from fresh snow on a trodden, well-worn snow. Someone had been running around. The great bellows of its lungs took in air. The wind vanished as the air became still once more. A slightly sweaty smell along with dirt and sunlight filled the beast's lungs. Some of its prey was still running around the streets. Were any still in the house? 2 houses down from the darkness, the door continued to rattle. The prey may run if it hears the screams of wild ones. So, the beast approached the rattling door, giving up the chase for a moment. The chain rattled with the shadow's anticipation. Its first night back, and it already had a chase on its hands. How marvelous! Whiteness pierced the shadow as a grin formed, revealing human-like features. A human smile on such an inhuman face sent a shiver through the air, and the doors stopped rattling. The darkness thought into the universe. Too late. You cannot hide them now. As it reached the door, with a strike from its mighty fist, the door of the house collapsed inwards, spilling light onto the dark, ox-like humanoid darkness. As it moved into the house, it stopped, sealing the door and preventing light from entering its dark night. The house's frame creaked and cracked as the Krampus entered the small home. Flames from the lamps flickered out as the beast brought its domain to the home. The darkness looked around the house and began to cackle. Nothing was there. They had left the child all alone. You must have been a very bad boy. Its deep voice moved into the home's foundation, shaking all things. A small whimper came from under one of the beds. Krampus looked towards the quiet beds. There were two, nicely kept and waiting for their masters to return. The bed Krampus moved towards couldn't have been more different from the other two. Yellowing sheets sat rumpled at the end of the bed, dragging onto the floor. The bedspread itself was covered with dirt stains, food stains, and several undefinable stains. Disgusting. The beast's hooves stopped at the end of the bed. Come out, wherever you are. The bed shook and whimpered again. No, you don't want to face your punishment. You have been a little brat. Your parents warned you, but you stayed a brat. I would not be here if they hadn't, and if you hadn't. The bed began to cry. So sad. They always cried in the end. But this was so easy. In annoyance, the beast rattled its chain. The wailing increased. Truly pathetic. Krampus lashed out with the metal rings. The rings sunk into the bed, creating a hole in reality. The child's screams rattled the windows as they were pulled from the bed. Krampus reached out a claw and placed its hand over the kid's face. Silence, child. I may keep your punishment swift if you stop hurting my ears. The child whimpered once more before silencing itself. Its eyes were wide and watery as Krampus took a blood-stained burlap sack from his back and threw the child into it. Hoisting the child over the shoulder, Krampus released a malicious rumble from its chest. The bag fit into Krampus' stooped back like it belonged there. As Krampus moved from the house, a dark wind whispered an icy cold tendril into its ear. The remaining children he was after had run to the forest. The hunt was afoot. Krampus ran into the darkness, becoming one with it. The children were loud runners, and the leader kept yelling for the other to catch up. This was so easy. Krampus hated an easy hunt, yet it meant they could scare the children a little. Krampus emerged from the darkest shadow of the tree onto a branch and looked at the children as they ran. Grasping the air, Krampus rattled the world around the children and watched as they halted in his domain. One began to cry, and the other shivered and curled into a ball, too scared for words. What had these children done to deserve him? Hadn't they simply killed a cat? Oh, wait. No. They had killed many cats. The whole village's population of cats, in fact. This had caused rats to appear. The rats then destroyed the crops, and disease had followed. Now the village was going to starve to death. Except the lucky few. Or was it unlucky few? Those who could stomach rats and human flesh. Yes. These children were pathetic bullies and deserved him. Krampus moved out of the shadows and began to laugh. It was his special laugh, designed to produce fear in a human soul. The children looked up at the shadow. One screamed again and began to crawl away from him. A chain rattled as he whipped the stationary child. They cried out in pain as a gash opened on their arm. Krampus struck again, trying to get the child to run. A small cut opened on the child's cheek as they curled into a ball on the ground and began to shake like a dog being kicked. Krampus grew annoyed. I want you to run, child. Run! The child curled more into itself. So Krampus bent down, tied its chain around the child's neck. Let's go, child. Time to run. Krampus looked up at the child that had begun to run away when he had appeared. The child had managed to stand up and was running away into the darkest part of the forest. Krampus jumped after the kid, pulling one child behind him. Suddenly, they moved faster than the prisoner could. With a squelch and a pop, the chain caught up to Krampus. Lifting the blood-drenched chain to his face, Krampus licked it. It tasted like fear and adrenaline, giving them power as they ran. Krampus entered the darkness and appeared in front of the last child. The child stopped like a deer at a torch fire. Krampus lashed out one more time with the chain. The child backed up and ducked, somehow avoiding the chain. It managed to run around and run it behind. Well, fuck you. Around and run it behind. Well, fuck you. Krampus entered the darkness and appeared in front of the last child. They stopped like a deer at a torch fire. Krampus lashed out one more time with the chain. The child backed up and ducked, somehow avoiding the chain. Managed to turn around and run. The darkness laughed as it moved to follow the child. The darkness appeared in front of the child again and picked it up by the head. The tiny fist lashed out at the beast, trying to loosen its hold on them. Krampus laughed again and shook the child by the head before throwing them towards a tree. The crack of hitting the tree echoed through the forest. A flick of the wrist snared the child, and Krampus seized his rope. The moral monster pulled the child towards them. It whimpered. Good. You are still alive, child. 2 children to scare in the darkest chambers of the universe, and 1 effectively scared to death. It was a job well done. Krampus moved into the darkness, pulling 1 broken, whimpering child behind him, and 1 silent child over their shoulder. Have a happy winter, little village. The voice of Krampus had changed as he said this, sounding a little more warm, like a bowl of stew next to a roaring fire.